Hey everyone, I'm Almar of almarsguides.com, and this video here is going to be a rundown of all of the consumables that tanks will be using in high-end raids and their value on the auction house, whether or not they're going to go up or down in price as time goes on, and stuff like that. This video is, there's going to be another video like this one that goes over the same exact consumables list, but it's going to take a different perspective. It's not going to be based around auction house tips, which is what this video is based around. If you want to see this guide that I'm looking at in the video right now, I put a link to it in the description. It's a new guide that I just recently finished writing, and yeah, I'm pretty proud of it so far. There's not many consumables lists out there, and the ones that are, they don't give you, they just list all of the consumables rather than, what is actually worth using and why. So to get started, and for anybody who's curious, since I notice a lot of people don't watch these videos until the end, you don't actually have to sit here and watch the screen the entire time. Just Alt-Tab, keep playing in game, and listen to me as if it was a podcast. So, to get started, Flask of the Titans. This is obviously always going to go up in price as time goes on. It requires Black Lotus, Grom's Blood, and Stone Scale Oil in order to make. And every single phase it's going to go up in price for a little while, then it's going to fall back down and level out. Once AQ comes out, it'll skyrocket in price as all of the guilds do progression, and then plummet to some middle area where it'll be higher in price than it was before the new raid came out, but lower in price than where it shot up to when the demand was really high. A lot of items work this way. I do not honestly give Flask of the Titans my stamp of approval for buying and reselling due to the fact that a lot of people mingle in the Flask market. So Elixir of the Mongoose, this is probably one of the most important consumables for most melee DPS, and it almost guaranteed safe bet. It's always going to go up in price from here on out. As time goes on, as more gold inflates the market, the consumable prices are just going to jack up. Elixir of the Mongoose, very, very, very safe bet. If you want to buy now and resell it later, it gets my stamp of approval. Or the herbs that are required to make it, which I'm pretty sure are Mountain Silver Sage and Dreamfoil, I think. Mountain Silver Sage and Plague Bloom. Close enough. So Elixir of Fortitude, this one gets my stamp of approval for buying and reselling. Everybody can use this elixir, most important for tanks. It stacks with every other buff in the game that you can possibly put on yourself. And it is a measly 120 health, but it's worth using because 120 health can save you. That's 12 stamina right there. And Elixir of Fortitude takes 1 Gold Thorn and 1 Wild Steel Bloom to make. And both of these herbs are quite hard to farm / get your hands on. They both come out of level 30 zones. Like Arathi Highlands is a great location to farm Gold Thorn and Wild Steel Bloom. Scarlet Monastery Cathedral is another location that's great to farm Gold Thorn, but there's no Wild Steel Bloom there. There is Life Root there, though. And another reason that this item is going to go up in price as time goes on is because both Goldthorn and Wild Steel Bloom are required to raise your alchemy skill. There's really no getting past, I think it's 160 to 170, somewhere in there. You start getting recipes that require Goldthorn and Wild Steel Bloom, and you're eventually going to reach a point where you have to use one of the two in order to raise your alchemy. So that increases the demand for both of the items on top of what high-end raiders will also be, requiring out of the items. So the next one is Elixir of Superior Defense. And this item as well gets my stamp of approval because for buying and reselling, because it requires Stone Scale Oil and Sungrass. So Stone Scale Oil is always going to go up in price because it's a very labor-intensive thing to farm. And sadly, there's no bots for it out there that are farming it for us. I know some people hate bots, but I mean, come on, man. Would you rather sit there and fish for hours, or would you rather just buy it from a bot for dirt cheap? I would love to buy it from a bot instead of having to actually sit there and fish for Stone Scale Oils for days on end for my raid consumables. So long as there's no fishing bots, Stone Scale Oil is always going to sell for a premium. If you're lucky enough, or for some people unlucky enough, to be on a server with bots that, fish, you'd probably be able to get this item for really, really cheap, at least for a short time until the bots get banned. So just keep checking the auction house and buy them when you see them very low in price. the price is only going to go up as gold inflates the market because paying for people's labor is expensive. So, Juju Power and Elixir of Giants. These do not stack with each other, so you got to pick one or the other. Juju Powers come from Winterfall Ikos in Winter Spring. They're the furbolgs that you can kill all over the zone, and on top of the Winterfall Ikos, they also drop Winterfall Firewater. So it's a very good spot to farm, and they also give Timbermaw rep, so it's like a threefer when you're farming there. Elixir of Giants, I don't really honestly recommend you stock up on these if you want to resell them later. I mean, they'll kind of go up in price, but they're really, really cheap to make. You're better off stocking up on the herbs that are required to make them and then selling the herbs instead of, making them into the elixir, then selling the elixir. So, Juju Powers, I think it's going to be situational depending on your server, whether or not it goes up in price or not. Because as time goes on and more people are exalted with Timbermaw, or they've gotten their Timbermaw reputation done, they're not going to be that interested in farming them anymore, which is going to affect the market prices of the item. However, the item is extremely, extremely easy to farm, and it is a very popular botting location for bots that want to make a lot of money and get caught really, really, really fast. So just keep that in mind. It's going to be a week-by-week thing. The prices is going to change week by week. So some weeks you'll be able to, sell it for a premium, other weeks no. It all depends on how many people are farming out there and whether or not they're selling the Ikos that they get. So Juju Mites drop off of the Giants in Southern Winter Spring. And they are elite Giants, which makes them quite hard to solo. And it's going to be another situational thing depending on your server, whether or not it sells for a lot or it doesn't. And also, people that box are going to have a lot easier / better farming than people who don't box, because there's a little secret you might not know. When you kill one of these mobs, every single person in your group can loot the Ikos. So what that means is if you're boxing 5 characters or 10 characters like I do now, you can get the Iko on every single person that is in the group when the mob dies, so long as they hit the mob. If you're in a regular group, they don't have to hit the mob. If you're in a raid, they have to be on the mob's threat list in order to loot the Iko off the mob. So just keep that in mind, but, I mean, there's no beating it. You can get with a boxer, 1 kill is 5 Ikos, or if you're 10 boxing, 1 kill will be 10 Ikos, and it's insane to think about how much money that is in comparison to, somebody just getting 1. So Winterfall Firewaters, this item actually does get my stamp of approval because as more gold inflates the market, it's only going to go up in price from here on out. A lot of these items are going to go up in price as more gold inflates the market. There's not going to be any single specific event that just skyrockets them up as there are with some other items. Most of them are just, as more and more gold is added into the market, just naturally the prices increase on some items. We're seeing that now with tons of stuff like light leather, medium leather. Most of the herbs we're experiencing that with. A lot of those, lower level herbs used to sell for basically vendor price on the auction house. And now they're actually starting to go up in price, and that's going to continue as time goes on. Gift of Arthas, skip over it. It's not even, no. Juju Chill. I'm sorry to burst the bubble of anybody out there that's listening to this video that have also listened to other videos about auction house tips, because I see a lot of content creators saying, stock up on Juju Chill now, guys, because Kel'Thuzad and Sephiron, they're going to require these items. That's bull. I mean, it's true that those bosses will require Juju Chill, and they will require greater frost protection potions, but the amount of people that are stocking up on these items now versus the demand when those bosses come out, it's completely skewed. I do not think you're going to be able to make money selling the Juju Chill Ikos, which are Chill Wind Ikos, when Nax comes out. It's just way too many people it's going to be like small eggs on Christmas, if you remember that. Too many people stocked up on small eggs, and it was just trying to actually resell small eggs was a fool's errand. Now, Juju Ember, it's a little bit different, mainly because we don't have that big period to stock up on them. So Juju Embers require 3 Shardtooth Ikos for 3 Juju Embers. And the Shardtooths Ikos sell very well right now. However, as time goes on, you should expect them to go down in price. quite a bit, because right now we got Molten Core and Blackwing Lair. Two main raid instances both have tons of fire enemies. But AQ40, you're not going to be able, you're not, like, no Juju Ember usefulness, and Max Ramus, you're not going to be able to use the Juju Embers. So it's just, now is your last chance to make money off of that item if you plan to. Rumsey Rum Black Label, this is another item that gets my stamp of approval if you want to buy now and resell it later, because as more gold inflates the market, it's going to go up in value. Elemental Sharpening Stones, same deal. Oh, and the Rumsey Rum Black Labels, they're fished up in Stranglethorn Vale amongst other places. So again, it's another very labor-intensive fishing material. Elemental Sharpening Stones, they require 2 elemental earths per, and I think 3 dense stone. Yep. So this item is going to just skyrocket in price, as elemental earths do. A lot of you out there, you play on servers where elemental earths are already going for like 6 to 7 gold a piece. As you can see on my server, again, very low pop server, my elemental earths are not even going for over 3 gold each yet, which is, fantastic. A lot of these items I'm going to be able to sell in the future for a premium, or I can just use them in the future and, save a buttload of money instead. Either or, both are options. I imagine elemental earths are probably going to like cap around 35 to 40 gold, somewhere in there. And the question is whether or not people are still going to use elemental sharpening stones when you have to pay like 200 to 300 gold a night in elemental sharpening stones for consumables. I'm going to be really interested to see how that plays out. So again, elemental sharpening stones and elemental earths in general, stamp of approval. Crystal Ward, we can skip that. Major Troll's Blood Potion, we can skip that. Neither of those are very useful, and I don't think you'll be able to resell them in the future for any extra money. Greater Fire Protection Potions, this is your basically last chance to make a premium off of these items. Once Phase 6 comes out, or Phase 5, whichever phase they're adding a Heart of Fire, transmuting into Elemental Fire, that kills the price of these potions forever. And Elemental Fire forever. So Greater Nature Protection Potions, these require elemental earths, and due to that, they're always going to be valuable or be able to be, sold for a premium. They're going to be very, very, very popularly consumed in AQ40. And again, I'm going to be very, very interested to see if guilds actually require people to use the Greater Nature Protection Potions, knowing that they're going to be like 10 gold a pop, or if they're going to say you can use regular Nature Protection Potions, which require, I think, Life Root and Strangle Kelp in order to make. So I would actually recommend, if you want to make money with Nature Protection Potions, do regular Nature Protection Potions. Not the greater ones, the regular ones. Stock up on Elemental Earth anyway, though, if you wish to, flip that in the future. So Greater Frost Protection Potions. This is going to be in the same category as Juju Chill. A lot of people think that this is going to just skyrocket in price, once Naxxramas comes out, but I guarantee you the supply is going to be much larger than the demand. So Greater Arcane Protection Potions, they're going to go up in price as Dreamfoil and as Dream Dust go up in price. There's not going to be any specific, large event that jumps them up in price. So Greater Shadow Protection Potions. These require 4 Fade Leaf and 4 Grave Moss to make, and they are right now really only used for Nefarian. Once Nax comes out, though, that's going to change. And also, this item here in particular, Greater Shadow Protection Potions, they're going to see a large jump in price once Nax releases. And this item, as well as the Fade Leaf and especially Grave Moss, get my stamp of approval for buying and reselling. Grave Moss, wholeheartedly. Like, let's check the price of Grave Moss on my server right now. Yesterday it was like 10 gold a stack. And we're currently going for like, wow, this is cheap. So I'm actually going to buy all of this out because that's like way cheaper than it usually is. But Grave Moss, typically 10 gold a stack, and I would probably recommend you buy it up until it's almost 1 gold each. That's probably when I'll stop buying it and wait to see what happens in the future. So, depends on your server, situational, and also don't make them, you can actually make them into Greater Shadow Protection Potions or make them into Shadow Oils if you want. Because either or, it's like you can either sell the raw mats or sell, the greater shadow protection potions or shadow oils when the time comes. So Dirge's Kickin' Chimeric Chops, as well as the Smoked Desert Dumplings, are currently not even in the game yet. And the Smoked Desert Dumpling, like you can probably stock up on the items that are required to make these right now. So for the Dirge's Kickin' Chimeric Chops, Goblin Rocket Fuel, and Chimeric Tenderloins. If you stock up on both of these items right now, you can probably sell them for a premium when whatever phase they come out in is released. And as you can see, for the Smoked Desert Dumplings, they require sandworm meat, which drops off of the sandworms in Silithus. So those, I would probably give them both my stamp of approval if you want to farm those items now and sell them in the future, or if you want to, let's look up nobody selling sandworm meat. Nobody's selling the Chimeric Chops either. So at least on my server, again, very low pop server. It might be different on yours. So Tender Wolf Steak, Monster Omelet. Both of these items are kind of like the budget consumables for tanks and really anybody else that wants to use them. And depending on your server, they will or will not get my stamp of approval. See, Monster Omelets, let's see. As you can see, people are actually like jacking up the price of Monster Omelets right now. Like they're not going to sell that high. But giant eggs you can get for like half the price. And typically giant eggs sell for a lot less than this. Or on my server at least. So what I would recommend you do if you want to make money off of this is buy a bunch of giant eggs or tender wolf meat, make them into the tender wolf steaks or monster omelets, then sell the food. And you'll probably be able to make a decent chunk of change on that. So winter squid. Blessed Sunfruit comes from a vendor, so you can't even resell it. Winter squid, what this does is increase its agility food, basically. And you can only fish up the winter squids during the winter months. And the winter months are now over, so you can't fish up winter squids anymore. So I'm actually a little late to the party with this, but in the future, something to keep in mind in the back of your head is during the winter months, stock up on winter squid as much as possible because the price will go up during the summer months and spring months and fall when you can't fish up winter squid anymore. So Dragon Breath Chili, this is kind of like the AoE food that you're going to want to, or I should say the only food you can get that helps you hold AoE threat / aggro. And it requires small flame sacks and mystery meat to make. So I would say it's going to be situational depending on your server, depending on how many tanks actually use it. It does help a little bit, but not too much. I would recommend if you're going to if you're not going to sell the Dragon Breath Chili just as itself, at least do the small flame sacks because they'll always sell for more than the mystery meat, in my opinion anyway. So Greater Stone Shield Potion, this requires thorium ore and stone scale oil. So stamp of approval again, much like the Elixir of Superior Defense, because it requires stone scale oil, it's going to go up in price as time goes on. Mighty Rage Potion, these require 3 grams blood to make, and they are like frequently consumed by tanks and DPS warriors. So stamp of approval for those. As Grom's Blood goes up in price, so will Mighty Rage Potions. Major Healing Potions, I do not think it's going to go up in price any more than it is already now. They drop far too commonly. Restorative Potions, it's situationally useful in Blackwing Lair. And once AQ40 and Nax comes out, it'll probably go up in price. They require Goldthorn and Elemental Earth to make. So in my opinion, you would probably be better off hanging on to the Elemental Earth and the Goldthorn and not making them into the potions. And then selling either just the regular Elemental Earths or the regular potions. Or the regular Goldthorn, sorry. Free action potions, much like the Stone Scale oil, it requires fishing. They require Blackmouth oil. So unless you have a bot on your server that fishes, you're always going to be paying somebody for their labor, and labor is expensive. So keep that in mind, because it's I'm actually curious. Let me look up Blackmouth, see if there's any going on my server for cheap. And they're all kind of, standard price right now. Sometimes they get jacked up higher than this, but this is about, average. So living action potions, they're probably going to fall into the same category as free action potions. They require a lot of higher. Well, sorry, not same category as free action. Only in the use of the item. They require higher level herbs to make, so they're not going to go up in price as much as something that requires fishing, for example. They will go up in price though as time goes on and as the value of herbs is inflated in the market, which generally is going to always happen on every server. So these items, not anything you can buy and resell. As for engineering consumables, we're at the end here. Goblin landmines, depends on your server if people use them or not. Goblin sapper charges, this is definitely major stamp of approval, item worth investing in, or invest in the materials that are required to make it right now, which are mage weave, solid stones, and mithril ore. Yeah, or mithril bars, rather. The solid stones get turned into solid blasting powder. Mage weave is also used in making the unstable triggers, as is mithril bars, and more solid stones. So it's a large amount of solid stones, mithril bars, and mage weave that are required to make the unstable triggers, which are used for goblin sapper charges. Thorium grenades, they're not too useful, and unless you're on a very high pop server, you probably won't even be able to sell them on the auction house. I know I couldn't. Dense dynamite is going to be one of the most used engineering consumables for tanks because they're without goblin sapper charges or dense dynamite, it's really hard for warriors to get aggro on 4 or more enemies if the AoEers start attacking at the same time. So basically, to make up for that, what a lot of warriors do, myself included, we use dense dynamite to hold aggro on large packs of enemies at one time. Some warriors also use Dragon Breath Chili, and other ones also use Force Reactive Disc. And, it's going to be situational depending on the person. But you really can't go wrong. Goblin Sapper charges, Dense Dynamite, or the items that are required to make either of them. Dense Dynamite requires Dense Stone and Runecloth. So as you know, Runecloth will always, sell from now until the end of time since it's used in too much. And Dense Blasting Powder will... Dense Stone is going to go up and down in price depending on how many people are farming Dire Maul East, in my opinion. So once Zul'Gurub comes out, as I talked about in one of my other videos, a lot of people are going to move away from farming Dire Maul East because they're going to switch to Zul'Gurub since you can solo farm there. Mages can anyway. And a lot of the people who farm Dire Maul East right now are already mages. So keep that in mind. That's going to temporarily mess with the prices of that item quite a bit. Well, mess with the prices of thorium as well as dense stone, as well as probably arcane crystals too. So use that information for what it is, and that's basically all there is to talk about in this guide. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I apologize for the length, but it was stockpiled with information. Anyway, catch you guys around the next one, and have a good day.